So for my students who are doing grade 4, what theory are you going to have to deal with? Well, they're going to ask you questions about two characters which you choose from your prose piece. Now, they don't have to appear in the actual selection that you're reading, but they can be two characters from anywhere in the book. Now, you have to have read the whole book. I don't know what questions they're going to ask, but it might be something to do with what is the relationship of these two characters? Do they know each other? When do they meet? How do they feel about one another? How important are they to the overall story? That kind of thing. So as long as you've read the actual book, then you're not going to have a problem with that bit. The other thing they're going to ask you to do is sight reading. Now, they will give you a piece in your exam. You have time to read it. If there are any words you don't know how to pronounce, or you're really unsure what that word means, then please ask the examiner before you start reading. Treat it like your prose piece, so introduce it. And then what I want you to do is hold the bottom of the page with one hand, so you're supporting the page with one hand, and with the other hand, I want you to have your thumb marking where you're up to. So have your thumb go along line by line where you're up to. This way, if you lift your eyes off the page, which ideally we want you to, if you lift your eyes off the page, you're not going to then look back and forget where you're up to. So it's a good way to keep your place. What I really would like you to do is take your time to read in your head the first line. Get it into your head, then look up and deliver the first line with your eyes up off the page. Once upon a time there was a boy. Then you bring your eyes back down and you can then continue to read on the page. If you feel that you're confident enough to lift your eyes off again, then please do. Don't feel like you have to do this all the time because that's just distracting. If you're going to lift your eyes off, lift them off for a reasonable amount of time, at least a sentence. And then back down again. And then the only other place that I really want you to try your best to lift your eyes off is at the very end. So just take a pause before the end, read the last line, lift your eyes and deliver it with confidence. If you do lose your place, if you do trip over the words and get into a bit of a stumble, don't worry about it, don't panic, take a deep breath, take a moment to take in the bit that you struggled with and then deliver it confidently. Don't try to struggle on through because it will just make you make more and more mistakes, so just take your time, be confident. What they're looking for is for you to be as emotive as you can be, so words that you can emphasise, onomatopoeic words for example, or words that are very descriptive, beautiful, wonderful, very, too. Anything that you can really push is going to help you, and try to get a feel for the mood as well. So that's sight reading. The other thing you're going to have to know is figures of speech. So looking at figures of speech, we have alliteration. Alliteration is the repetition of an initial consonant. So it might be something like the lazy lizard lay in the sun. Yeah? Or it might be the slimy snake slithered across the sand. So it's a repetition of an initial consonant sound. Then you have assonance. Now, assonance is similar to alliteration. It's a repetition of a letter, but it's a repetition of a vowel sound instead of a consonant. So it might be, soon it will be June and the moon will be full. The cat sat on the mat. Yeah, so that's assonance, a repetition of a vowel sound. Just always think AA, assonance, alliteration. They mean the repetition of a letter, you just have to remember which one's which. Then you have, very easy, simile. Most of you will know that a simile is describing something to be like something. So I might say, he was as brave as a lion. She was as cold as ice. And that's a simile, because it's similar. Simile, similar to. Then we have metaphors. And metaphors is describing something to be something else. So not saying it's like something, it's saying it is something. So you'll say, she's icy. He's a brave lion. Or it's raining cats and dogs. So that's a metaphor, saying something is something, and a simile is saying something is like something else. Okay, and then we have a pun. Now think p. A pun is a play on words. Always remember that. A pun is a play on words. So it might be, the cat was perfect. Yeah, so we've took the word per, like a and made it part of the word perfect. So it's a play on words. Then we have onomatopoeia. And onomatopoeia, listen to this description because it's hard to describe sometimes. Onomatopoeia is a word that sounds like what it describes. A word that sounds like what it describes. For example, bang, whoosh, drip, drop, click. So it's onomatopoeia, a word that sounds like what it describes. Then we have antithesis. Antithesis. Now the reason I do this is to help me remember what that word is referring to. It means opposite ideas, opposing ideas that are put together to create an effect. So antithesis is opposing ideas brought together. For example, the dark sunshine, or the dinosaur squeaks, or the mouse roars, or the heavenly devil. These are opposing ideas that are put together to have an effect. So that's antithesis, opposites. So that's all your figures of speech. We've got alliteration, repetition of initial consonant sound. Assonance, repetition of a vowel sound. Simile, something is like something. A metaphor, something is something else. A pun, a play on words. Antithesis, opposing ideas brought together. And onomatopoeia, a word that sounds like what it describes. What they'll do in the exam is they'll either ask you a particular figure of speech and what it means. So they might say, could you tell me what alliteration is? And so you will describe what alliteration is and give an example, always give an example. Or they may ask you to provide 3 examples of figures of speech. And so then you can have prepared in your mind 3 examples. So it might be that you can remember alliteration and a metaphor and a pun. What I would do is make sure I can provide an example of each one from my poem or prose. So go through your poem and prose looking for alliteration. If you find a good example, then mark it. Go through your poem and prose looking for examples of assonance and metaphors and similes and puns and antithesis and so on, and try to remember all those examples, because if you can provide an example from your pieces, that's going to get you more points. So that very basically is the theory that you're going to have to deal with. Plus as well, they may ask you about any of the theory from previous grades, so they may ask you what is the fundamental difference between verse and prose, and if you can't remember, then have a quick look at the theory for grade 3, which I've posted recently. Guys, good luck, and I hope you get really good grades. Okay.